chariot and the charioteer. I shall tell you today something from the Krishna Ayurveda. The subject of discourse will be mind, body and organs, and their relation with human beings. You must have noticed that while explaining a subject, a person generally tries to explain it through comparisons, examples, metaphors or allegories. Rice and food have the same meaning in an area where rice is the principal food. Similarly, in an area where wheat is the chief food, there bread means food. The people of ancient Aryan society often engaged in wars among themselves, as well as against the non-Aryans. Among themselves they fought over wealth and prestige, over the predominance of the group of various ages, and against the non-Aryans they carried on cultural crusades. These crusades were finally responsible for the formation of the present-day Indo-Aryan culture, a synthesis of or compromise among the various schools of thought such as Dravidian, Mongolian, Austric, etc. During the composition of the Vedas, these cultural clashes and expeditions for world conquest continued unabated. And during these expeditions the Aryans did not go as angels of peace, but as warriors mounted on chariots. That is why examples of chariots were frequently cited to acquaint people with different trends of life of that age. Here the sage has compared the mind, body and organs with a chariot and its different parts. Atamanam ratinam vidhi shariram ratta mevatu Budintu saratim vidhi manaha pragrahameva sha. In this metaphor, the entire body is compared to a chariot. The passenger of this body-like chariot is the Atman or soul. Like the passengers of other vehicles, this soul-like passenger also does not have to do anything. The Atman is simply the witnessing force. He is companionless. This body-like chariot is being driven by the buddhi-like charioteer. Here buddhi does not mean mahatattva or existential life feeling. It means discriminating judgment or conscience. This body-like chariot should be driven by the conscience-like charioteer. Really speaking, people take their body-like chariots to those regions which are congenial to their minds. The charioteer may take the chariot to the abode of God as well as to a wine shop, and accordingly the passenger as the witness will derive the objective impressions of things wherever the charioteer will take the chariot. So it is desirable for the chariot to be perfectly efficient and competent, and for the proper control of the chariot it is necessary for the charioteer to have a rein. If the charioteer fails to keep the rein under perfect control, it becomes difficult to drive the chariot properly, and the rein is the mind. The body-like chariot will surely be badly affected if the mind-like rein is not properly controlled by the judgment-like charioteer. When unit beings, jivas, come in contact with any object, they receive an impression of its form and other tanmatric or inferential waves. These inferential waves, coming in contact with one's sensory organs through the media of various physical elements, awaken in one a sense of objects. Suppose you are going on your way and suddenly you meet with a man face to face. In such a situation, how did you detect the presence of the man? Certainly through the light waves of his form hitting your retina, through the aerial waves bearing his speech, and the sound of his footsteps hitting your eardrum. You must also have had the experience in your life that you did not notice the presence of a man in front of you, or you did not hear his voice. Why? What is the reason? It is because at that time your mind were preoccupied with something else. Your buddhi did not engage your mind with a man's form or voice at that time, and so the contact of the light of his form with your retina or the impact of his speech on your eardrum remain unknown to your crude or conscious mind, kamamaya kosha. Thus it has been said that the passenger-like charioteer takes the body-like chariot too. Whenever any of the inferential waves emanating from any object catch your attention, instantly an identical wave also forms in your afferent nerves. Thereafter that wave, reaching your ectoplasmic body, Chitta, causes your mind to be identified with a similar thought. Behind the mind's acceptance of the thought through the organs and nerves remains the presence of the static principle. It is static or tamu guni, because it confines the ectoplasmic body in the bondages of time, space, and person. The acceptance of the thought by the mind depends upon rajoguni or mutative vibrations. Whether these vibrations are of the external world or of the internal nerves of the body, this mutative principle is the apparent cause of the static principle and is dependent on sattva guni or the sentient principle. This sentient principle is pure subjective entity, bhavaka satta, of the mutative thought waves. Whenever and whatever thought images are created in the ectoplasm through the static principle, their seeds subsequently remain embedded in the ectoplasm as the samskaras, reactions in potentiality or chromosomes. The nerve cells also remain for some time as the potential receptacles of similar seeds. The thought acceptance in the mind and the reactive causal vidyatmaka samskaras are both tamaguni or static, for inertness is the chief trait of both. This basic part of the static and dynamic forces that is inherent in the crudifying vibrative, purely subjective mind bhavakamana is governed by the part dominated by conscience or discriminating force, which has been called buddhi. It is not buddhitattva or mahatattva or intellect. Indriyan hayana hurvi shayam steshu gosharan atmendriya mano yuktam bhoktetya hurma nishanaha. As I already said, the passenger of this body-like chariot is the Atman. The buddhi is its driver or charioteer, and the mind is its rein. But the mere existence of these cannot move a chariot. Horses are necessary to give its power and movement. Now, who are the horses? Wise people say that the 10 organs are the horses. The charioteer or driver of this 10 horse-driven chariot or rata is Dasharat, the conscience, and the supreme passenger of that chariot is Rama or Atman. It is these horses that take the chariot towards objects. Running after matter is the characteristic of the organs. When the buddhi is not utilized, the organs run randomly like driverless horses. The remarkable part of it is that the organs always run after perceivable objects. Look into your mind. Isn't the unbridled movement of the organs always propensive? The organs go on running until they get something enjoyable for their gratification. When they get it, they are at rest for a time. I would rather call it momentary or apparent repose, because even at that time they do not remain inactive or invibrative. They remain engaged to the process of enjoyment. As their capacity for enjoyment is finite, they have to run, after a while, from one object to another. It is the propulsion of the organs that cause the motivity in the body. For to keep the crude physical body on the move with insatiable desires for gratification is the characteristic of the organs. The contrary path, the introspective or desireless path, jeopardizes the very characteristic of the organs. They become absorbed in the subtler stratum, and so the organs do not take easily to the desireless path. Suppose there is a philosophical discussion somewhere, and singing and dancing going on nearby. The human mind, propelled by the propensive organs, will be more inclined toward the song and dance than towards the philosophical discourse. If people whose minds are yet unawakened to the state of spirituality through sadhana or spiritual practice attend a philosophical symposium, either for show or with the intention of forcibly suppressing their propensities. Their minds will surely remain in the dance hall. The reason for this is the natural, pleasureward proclivity of the organs. The Hadith tells of a beautiful event. Once a man presented a silk scarf to the great prophet Hazrat Muhammad, but Hazrat Muhammad did not keep that scarf with him, for he said that at the time of his namaz, prayer, his mind repeatedly kept turning from God to the grandeur of the scarf. The eye-catching form of the scarf extroverted his mind through the medium of the sight organ, and proved harmful to his introversive spiritual sadhana. So you see, the organs run after objects for happiness. They have to for the preservation of their existence.